I cut the nail back as far as I could. It's got a big D in it. I dug around with a sterilized straight needle trying to dig it out. I couldn't get it out. The next day my finger was swelling, and when I finally broke it open, there was stuff coming out. It was contaminated. It was sore. It hurt. It was filled with junk. Let me tell you, the minute you compromise the security of the walk and the blessing and the covering of the Lord Jesus Christ in your life, you're going to have contaminations come into your life, and they're going to affect every area of your life. That first night I laid in my bed, I had my finger up, it throbbed. I couldn't get that thing out. Glenda was saying, go to the doctor, he'll rip that nail off. Oh yeah, he got to stick you to numb it. I had that. I also know that infected members' digits don't get it. I went through that when I met my lovely wife. And I had a toe that had been mashed and had gotten infected, and they were going to pull the pin out, and so they stuck a needle in my toe, and I grabbed the thing, and I said, I don't know what you want to know, but I'll tell you everything. Just get that needle out of my toe. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. That first night, that finger throbbed, and I didn't know what to do, and I dug and dug and dug. It was sore. I'll tell you, it was sore. I was contaminated. I want you to get in your mind. Here today, I want you to remember compromise, complication, and contamination. Because when you leave, you'll remember in what you do, you're going to get a result of the contamination. That contamination is what causes you to cry. Delilah told Samson that she wanted to know his strength. And he told her a phony answer, and she did what she told him. She tied him up, and then she had Philistines hiding in the tent. And when she said, Samson, arise, the Philistines are upon you, he broke those 7 fresh thongs or reeds or whatever they were. They called them bowstrings in the translation. 7 bowstrings, he broke them, just stood up. Now, if I'm Samson and this girl does this to me once, ding, 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 ding. I get it. She's trying to take me under. She wants to kill me. She don't love me. She's laying with me to find out what I know so she can put her people in a better position. She's doing it for profit. Oh, but you know us guys. We get clouded in the aroma of seduction, and we lose every... Listen to me, young man. You're going to grow up, and you can either lead or be led. And if you are led, you are going where someone else has plans for you to go. You are not going where God has plans for you to go. And I'm going to tell you from experience, the moment you get caught in the cloud, you're going to be contaminated, and your life is going to be changed forever. There are going to be pregnancies out of wedlock. They're going to be responsibility like you've never seen before. I don't know whether you know it or not, but children don't come free. I don't care if you are on Medicaid. You're going to have the responsibility of diapers and bottles and all of the nursery things that go on. All of a sudden your social life goes out the window. Why? Because you've been contaminated. Now you're carrying a life. Now because you've gotten caught in this seduction, this whole romance thing, you've lost your flippant mind and you're contaminated. And we can all sit here and laugh and smirk and say, boy, Pastor, we know, we know. No, you need to hear it because that's where the church is today. We've been seduced by the message of compromise. We have complicated things in the church to the point people don't see any difference in us and the world out there. And you and me, I have helped it. The second time, Delilah told Samson, come on, if you really love me and want me, you'll tell me the strength, where it comes from. And she said, I'm going to have the privilege of that knowledge, and I promise I won't let you know. He tells her another story. She ties him with ropes that have never been used for anything. And she hollers at him and says, hey, Samson, Samson, come on, the Philistines are on you. And he jumps up, breaks the ropes, and he whips Tiny and goes on. And he's still not smart enough. You know, I'm trying to figure out is why God makes some of us to be leaders, but He don't make us smart enough to lead. I know He said, if we ask for wisdom, He'll give it to all men liberally and upbraideth not. But let me tell you, been more than one guy been clouded by this thing and gotten turned around and gotten complicated and gotten contaminated. So that the enemy appeared to be winning. But you know, Samson didn't get it the second time. Third time, Delilah comes to him and says, hey, you lied to me again. If you want to love me, you're going to tell me where the source is. He said, if you weave my hair into braids and put it in a weaver's weaver, can you believe she... First of all, how can you sleep that sound? That she called some guy in to braid your hair. Let me tell you something. You start braiding right now. I've just got a haircut. But if my hair were longer and you could braid it, and I'm dumb enough to sleep so that I deserve what I get. I'm serious. But you see, when things get complicated, you collapse. You can't stay aware. You can't stay awake. You get seduced to the point you think you're living in peace. And it's not peace. It's the eye of the storm. Things are about to get more complicated. She ties his hair in a weaver's beam. He jumps up and beats the Philistines, and he still don't get it. The Philistines are aggravated at Delilah. They're aggravated at Samson. It takes some time. He goes on. He won't quit, though. The devil never quits. Church, let me tell you, the devil wants to destroy you. Hear me. Wake up! We're compromised. The church is compromised, and we've got things complicated. And frankly, we're contaminated. Now our whole life's going to change. Whole life is going to change. Finally, in a moment of weakness. How you can say a moment of weakness? This guy's been weak from the time he started. He tells her, if you cut my hair, I'm under the vow of the Nazarite, you cut my hair, my strength will be made normal. She shaved his head in the night. And the cloud of romance contaminated himself to total bondage. Let me tell you something. Young people, you can be contaminated by tobacco. You can be contaminated by drugs or alcohol. You can be contaminated by all of these things, and the world wants you to make you think they're all right. Let me tell you, the compromises that the world offer are going to take you further than you want to go. They're going to cost you more than you want to spend, and they're going to keep you longer than you want to stay. I'll bet you if I gave Brother Les an opportunity, those days he was away from his family because he compromised. There were complications, am I right? Yeah. Complications that some of them exist even today. Even after we've turned and gotten it right, there are still complications that exist because we compromise. Let me tell you something, church. If we don't break out of the compromised mode, if we don't get out of the complicated mess we're in and recognize the enemy loves it when we're complacent. He loves it when we're stealing from God. He loves it when we're not in the house of God and we put everything else before God. You say, Pastor, are you mad at me? No, I'm not. I'm trying to tell you I've laid in my bed hours and hours weeping and praying and asking the Lord, Lord, what is it going to take for us to come out of the contamination and the compromise and all the things that we've gone through? What will it take for us to do what God needs and wants us to do? Samson wound up bound, an object of disgrace. The Philistines, when it came time to celebrate their victory over Israel, you see, every time those of us compromise and complicate things and contaminate ourselves, we give the enemy something to rejoice about. We give the enemy something to have revival. See, they can't make it. They really can't live the life. They can't do what they said they can do. They're liars. They're telling you something that's not true. And all the time they want to make a spectacle of the fallen soldiers of God. And because we refuse to keep from compromise, we help them by our own stupidity. God told us they were going to do it. They showed us many times they were going to do it. They never lied to us once about what their ultimate goal was, and that was to separate us from our God. And so we put the wrong things first. We don't say no to the right things. We do things we shouldn't do. And before you know it, we're contaminated to the point that we're standing bound in prison. But you know what? All the time Samson's in that prison with his eyes gouged out. And he's going round and round at that grist mill. His hair is growing. And his recognition of the strength of God. You see, after a while, folks, the Spirit of God's going to walk away when we refuse to not be contaminated. I know you love the Lord. I know it was never your intent to find yourself contaminated so that you had no fellowship with God. But folks, if we keep on, we will kill our relationship to the Lord. And the Spirit of God will withdraw from us to the point that the things God has promised us will not be ours anymore. All because of compromise. Compromise. I'm not talking to you about something I've not done. I'm telling you as a testimonial. The compromise will kill you. Samson walking in circles, remembering the glory days when he was the leader of Israel. For 20 years, he was the leader of Israel. For 20 years, he had the run of the house. For 20 years, he got away with things that he really shouldn't have gotten away with. Until he was so contaminated that the relationship to him and God was gone. But he felt the power of God returning as his hair came back. The hair was barely assembled. But somewhere in that circuitous trip around that grist mill, Samson repented. He said, Lord, I've compromised. The thing you brought me to do to destroy the Philistines, I have not done. But if you'll give me strength just one more time. Just one more time, Lord. Give me the anointing. Draw all the people. Put me in a place. Just one more time. They brought him out to mock him. Led him as a blind man to the pillars in the temple. There were thousands of people in the upper decks of the temple. Thousands in the lower decks. Wanting to see the giant, the strong man that had collapsed. How many times have people mocked and laughed at Brother Swagger? How many times have people mocked and laughed at Brother Baker? How many times have people mocked and laughed at Brother Dortch? How many times do we mock Larry Richmond? We're compromised. We've got things so complicated, we can't do it anymore. Samson said, Lord, you give me one more time. He said, put my hands on the pillars. I was brought to destroy Philistines. Put me where I can feel both the corner pillars. You see, they wanted him back with his hair. Because that was Samson. They wanted to mock the strong man. They didn't want to mock the blind man bound in chains. They wanted to mock the strong man. They didn't keep his hair too short. They were too stupid to do that. Let me tell you, church, if you will rebel against the compromise, if you'll rebel against the contamination, if you'll rebel against the complication, and say, Lord, if you just let the strength flow back through my body, I will put myself in a place once again so that the contamination doesn't exist. And the stench